Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to do a full head of foils on somebody who's got naturally dark hair. And Nicole wants to be as bright as possible, so obviously it's going to take quite a lot of work to knock out all of the warmth from her root colour. And I really think when you are doing a transition like this where you're taking somebody with really dark hair and making it as blonde as possible, the first time you do it you should have in mind that it's not going to get to the level that you want it if you want to maintain the strength and the quality of the hair. So when they do come back for their second appointment, I think toning the hair before you go in with the rest of the dye is a really good tip to giving that overall cool ashy look. Because of course if I'd just gone in with the toner afterwards on the level of a 912, all of the hair that we dyed previously that had started to go a little bit warmer was just going to be left, and then it would kind of warm up the entire look of the hair. So that's just one tip. So once I have toned her hair, you can see it's got quite a nice, just like a bit of a cooler shade. It was actually even cooler than that in person, but the camera's picking it up a bit warm. And then I'm going to go in with really fine highlights. So for my sectioning, I start at the back of the head and I split the hair into two sections. And then I start right behind the ear, sort of at the nape of the neck. Depending on how wide the hairline is, you may need to do a few foils all along the bottom, like along the hairline. But her hairline was quite narrow at the neck, so I could get away with just doing it from behind the ear and then going diagonally upwards. I sometimes do the foil backwards, so I'll rest the foil along her hair as opposed to down her neck, just because sometimes the ear can get in the way and it can be a bit uncomfortable. That's usually the most awkward foil to put in on the whole head. But then yeah, I'm just taking diagonal sections and I'm slowly getting higher and higher. Now what I'm doing, because the foils aren't quite wide enough to cover the whole width of like the half of her head, I'm actually doing a bit of a sort of laddered brickwork type sectioning. So I'm just going from one parting into the middle of the half, and then from the other parting into the middle of the half again. I hope that makes sense. It should become clear exactly what I'm doing as I go on. But that just means that I can keep the angle of the foil the same. I want all of the foils to be put in diagonally because that's going to give you the softest finish. You really don't want to have any horizontal lines when you're working with foils, particularly when you're highlighting hair as dark as this, just because any sort of harsh lines, anything like that is really going to stand out. Okay, so it's really important when you're highlighting hair that's as dark as Nicole's, is you want to take fine sections and really fine highlights. Just because when that grows out, it'll be much softer and it'll be a much more natural blend and transition from the dark brown to the blonde. As I'm getting higher, you'll notice that the foils that I put in around her hairline, like around the nape of her neck, I was folding them both on either side just to make sure that they're really secure. As I said earlier, they are kind of the most awkward foils to put in. But as I'm getting higher and higher, I'm just folding my foils in half once and then folding them in half again, and that's enough to secure them in place. This will save you a lot of time. So I'll just use this time to quickly talk about the toners that I'm going to use and the products that I use. So the first toner that I put on her hair was a 712. So she's got a natural root of about a base 5, and she wants to be like a 9 or a 10, but we managed to lift her to probably a 7, or between a 7 and an 8 last time. So I just went in with the 712 just to really knock out any of that warmth, and you know, over time when the toner fades out, it can kind of kick out a little bit of that warmth again. So 712 is a really good colour at just making everything super ashy. So the bleach that I'm using is the L'Oreal Paris Studio Blonde 8 level lift, and I'm just going in with, I used 20 vol around the back, and then as I'm coming around to the front I've gone in with the 30 vol. Cool, and then I'm just going to continue doing that all the way up until I get to the top section, and then I'm going to be doing the other side, and I'll show you what I do with that top section when we get to the crown of the head. Okay, so with this final section, this is the section that of course we want to look the most beautiful, the most seamless. We don't want to have any partings or visible sectioning really on this section at all, just so that it can be as blonde as possible and look really, really natural. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue on that diagonal angle, crossing over the middle parting and completely ignoring it, so that there are no harsh lines or dark spots anywhere. This top section particularly is really important that you're taking really, really fine foils, really fine surface weaves, because you want this to look really well blended and you don't want to have any stripes or streaks of blonde or brown. You just want it to be like an even lift all over. Okay, so now moving on to the front of the head. I've just split her hair in half again. So we've got 2 sections, and then starting at her hairline, I'm just taking really, really fine baby lights, and I'm just gonna start going diagonally back with my foils. Again, the entire time I'm taking really fine sections and really fine weaves. And you can see that the consistency of the bleach that I'm working with is just right. It's not too runny, it's not too dry. This sort of consistency is what I would recommend for highlights as well. Okay, and then just moving around to the money piece. So for this very, very front section at her parting, I'm going to go in with a slice before I go in with a weave, just because I really, really want that pop of colour to be very, very vibrant at the front. And then the second section back is also a weave. So this is just going to give you a really, really nice, bright money piece that isn't going to be chunky, it's not going to be too thick or anything like that, but we do want that to be a little bit contrasted from the rest of the head, which is of course going to be woven. Keeping all of my foils on a diagonal back angle like this, it's just going to concentrate all of the blonde at that point. It's just going to give a really, really natural, soft money piece that naturally grows out. She doesn't want anything too dramatic, but she does want to see that nice pop of colour, like everyone does. So I just did exactly the same thing on the other side, and then I'll leave that to develop and rinse it all off, and I will meet you at the basin. So we're just taking out the foils now, and you can see that it's lifted to a really, really nice colour. We've got a lot of light in there. It's really knocked out a lot of the warmth that she was dealing with, which is great. And you can see the money pieces are just looking really, really nice and bright now. So next I'm just going in with Dye Rich S 5 Vol, which is the same shade as her root. So I'm going in with a 5 because I'm not going to be leaving it on for the full amount of time, and her hair's already wet when I'm putting it on. It's not going to be a true 5. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit transparent, so that's why I go in with a 5, just to really, really blend that in with her root. But you'll see at the end it's still visibly blonde at the end. And this is going to help her so much when her hair starts to grow through. To have a little bit of depth back at the root already is just going to soften the regrowth so much and make it look way more natural. And then all over the end, I'm just going in with a 912 mixed with a 921 and just spreading that all over. I have also Olaplexed her hair, so there is Olaplex in the toner, and then afterwards I do the full Olaplex treatment, leave it on for 10 minutes after shampooing. And then it's time for the blow dry. So this is the end result. You can see it's really, really light. There's a natural blend from the blonde at the ends to the dark brown roots. It looks really natural. I think it's going to grow out really softly. Yeah, so it's really, really nice. It's knocked out a lot of that warmth. The roots are going to grow in naturally. The blend is nice and soft. But yeah, that's everything. If you did find that helpful, please do give it a like, or if you've got any questions, just let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.